This episode of Maverick in the Machine is brought to you by Jones Plantation Film. If you haven't seen the indie, soon-to-be cult classic Jones Plantation film yet, go watch that film. It's available now at jonesplantationfilm.com. That's jonesplantationfilm.com and on most major streaming platforms.
Bo Jones!
Also, my new film, Barnum World, is out now. And per the Indiegogo campaign we did, it's available everywhere for free. So you can find that at my YouTube channel at Drew Media TV, my Rumble channel. All my channels are basically Drew Media, and there'll be more platforms coming soon. Now, let's start this episode of Maverick in the Machine.
Insanity is what I call society. Don't tell me what to do, don't tell me how to be. I don't trust the government, I know they lie to me. They could like my body, yo, for my soul and mind to breathe.
All right. Episode 11, Maverick in the Machine. What's going on? This is going to be our first solo-sode. Solo-sode. Is that a word? Anyways, should be a good show. Should be entertaining. Hopefully you'll get something out of it. It should be shorter, too. In fact, it will be shorter for sure. But I wanted to talk today, do a little housekeeping, and then talk today about the interactions and the reactions that I've gotten in emails as well from people for two projects. First, the Barnum World film, and then that Flat Earth Dave interview I did. And they're actually pretty funny. It's pretty hilarious, but it's also, like, I think, indicative of sort of that childish, close-minded mindset, that the ideological mindset that is indicative of the mindset that so many people have that I think enslaves us. I know that sounds like, I think that I've always said that in order for us to get out of this enslavement that we're in, it's really an evolution. It's never going to happen through revolution. It has to be an evolution of the mind. And the behavior that I've seen from these two projects is really the same thing as that you see with the majority, the overwhelming majority of the population that believes in this horseshit system that we're enslaved by. But, it's kind of like people will say, like, with woke, I call it wokeism, with the woke thing. At least you heard that here first, wokeism. I don't know if anybody's ever come up with that, but they'll be like, well, it's not you think woke's going to kill 70 million people like the communists? It's not the same thing. No, of course not. It's a bunch of dysgenic, pussies. Of course they're not going to, well, you never know, but more than likely they're not going to have the nutsack to do something like that. But that cancerous mindset, that mindset is the same thing that created, it's the same basic thing, different infrastructure that created the communist nightmare that did kill 70 million people. It's that same ideological, closed-minded. In the woke example, it's like a religious cult with no forgiveness, no grace. If you can never apologize to these people because that's just a signal for them to eat you. So, but it just might irritate some people in this. I'm not going to try to be too contentious here. There might be some swearing in this one, so just if you're offended by swear words, just be aware. Maybe not. I'll try not to. But sometimes, you got to swear, I think. It just doesn't have the effect. But so I'm going to start off with Barnum World. And I want to be clear, the overwhelming majority of people, it's on YouTube now, like I said, per our Indiegogo campaign. It's out for free. It's going to be on some other platform soon. I'm going to give it to my quote distributor. It's more like an aggregator. They just have relationships with all the big platforms and it's easier to get on them. But the problem is I've got to make a trailer before I can submit it to them. So that's like, it's like I need to make a trailer anyway for Barnum World, but It's like another week of work that I'm not going to get paid for. It's not like I'm going to be doing it every day, but I'll be thinking about it, and it's a lot of hours of unpaid work, and I'm not complaining. I'm going to do it. I've got some ideas. I think it'll be good, but I've still got to do that. So that's what's only thing that's been holding that up. But per the campaign, it's available now on YouTube. It's doing pretty good. It's not where I want it to be, but it's not nothing. I think it's got like 50,000 views or something so far, which isn't terrible. I've only got like 3,800 followers on YouTube right now on my YouTube channel. So it's doing pretty good. It's growing. And we'll keep pushing it. And I think it'll hit. I'd like to see 1 million views on it at some point. Oh, by the way, I tried to monetize that. I did monetize my channel because if I'm going to get money, I want to get whatever little bit I can from YouTube because they're making money on me. But I wasn't able to monetize that film, Barnum World, and that's a long YouTube global screwing you story. But apparently YouTube, even if you demonetize a video, they still run commercials on it. Now, I don't know if that's grandfathered in of some of the older accounts that never monetize, if that happens to them. I don't know. But I want to apologize for those. Apparently, there's a lot of commercials on the film. I don't make any money from that. I try to demonetize it, and they still run the commercials. I don't, so they're doing what they're going to do. The only problem is that, I'd love to get off. I am on Rumble as well, if you prefer it there, BitChute and Odyssey. But see, YouTube's just such a big platform. It's just nobody can compete with them yet. So it's really like the main platform where people go watch the film. Excuse me. And also, one little bit of housekeeping is that the Barnum World merch site is up. And I'll put that in the description, the show notes, wherever you're watching or listening to the show. And I'll be posting it and stuff like that. We have some posters and shirts and hats and coffee mugs. I think that's all we have. We have some really cool, you can get a canvas print of the posters. There's 2 versions of the poster at this point. If you have any ideas, things you want to see, some merch ideas, hey, send them over. I might use them. If you want to make one, maybe we can work some out. I'll give you a cut. There's not a whole lot of cut there. These platforms take huge percentages of the money, but hey, if you got any ideas, I'm open. I'm all ears. I'm not saying I'm going to go with it, but I'm all ears. Send them over. If you're good at graphic design and you watch the film and you have an idea, let me know. But so the overwhelming majority of the people it's been really positive. I'd say probably 95% or higher. It's just people have seemed to really enjoy the film, and that's great. The 2 main complaints I get about the film, it's 2 main complaints. The first one is the section where we talk about, in the film where we talk about, Charlie asks Natty what his favorite Barnum statements are, and he says, is back the blue and protect and serve. And the 2 ones I get are, they don't like that segment. They say, one, that there's lots of good cops doing lots of really good things, and we cherry pick the content. We cherry pick the footage to make them look bad. Sorry. Excuse me. I live in the desert, man. It's like I'm constantly clogged up here. I'm allergic to dust. But anyways, let me just address there's good cops thing. You missed the point. Okay? I know there's good cops. I've been friends with cops my whole life. I'm not really friends with any right now, but when I lived in Atlanta, I had a couple of cops that were really good friends of mine. That was back before I understood the system the way I do now, and our relationship and conversations would have been a lot different. I'd be interested to hear what they think about what I think, but it's meaningless if there's good cops. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything, because the point of that segment is that the cops, the system, is set up that they work for the government. You understand? They're paid by the government. They get pensions from the government. So when they say protect and serve, that little propaganda, or back the blue, they're protecting and serving the system that pays them. That's it. They're protecting and serving the system that pays them. They're not protecting and serving you. You get some good cops doing good things, great. But none, and Natty says this in the film, none of this government abuse could be shoved down the people's throats if it wasn't for the armed government, quote unquote, heroes. And this propaganda, the back the blue and protect and serve, it it was targeted towards people who otherwise want the right things. It's usually people on the right that want freedom, want small government, but they were able to trick people into believing that the armed government thugs are on their side and working for them, and they somehow have something to do with freedom, because these type of people, they want order, and they should. But they don't understand, if you're paid by the government, your job, you work for the government. Your job is to protect and serve the system that enslaves you, enslaves me. That's what they do. I worked for PBS Georgia even when I was in grad school, which I shouldn't have gone to. I'm embarrassed at the amount of education I have, but different time, different place. But we did a project where we went around the state of Georgia and we interviewed World War II vets. And it was like, there's a guy named Ken Burns. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's a documentary filmmaker. He does these like 14-hour documentaries, and he did one on World War II, and it spawned all this funding. And so we got this project, and I was like the lead cinematographer on it and the lead editor. And we had a bunch of editors, like 10 or 15 editors. And I keep itching my nose. Sorry. It's annoying. I don't know why my nose is itchy. All right. Enough of that. And we went around the state and interviewed all these World War II veterans. I mean, we interviewed a lot. It might have been like, 150 of them, maybe more, maybe less. I don't remember. And I work with a couple of historians that would actually do the interview, and then sometimes I'd pop in with questions. But the point is, probably like 20 or 25 of them were in some sort of a camp of some sort. We interviewed a couple Polish Jews that were in like a German camp. We interviewed guys that got caught by the Japanese. My nose again. We interviewed this kid who was really young who got caught by the Japanese. His parents owned a rubber plantation, and Japan conquered their island. I want to say it was like the Dutch West Indies. He was Dutch, and he went to a camp. By the way, just a heads up, if you ever have a choice between a German camp and a Japanese camp in World War II, you're going with the Japanese camp. Pause. You're going with the German camp. The only snag with the German camp is you're probably going to be somewhere it's freezing cold in the winter, but the Japanese camps, man, they were rough. I mean, I know the Germans get a lot of shit for the Holocaust, but man, the Japanese camps, the stories, those guys were rough, man. They were mean. Anyways, the point is that all of these camps had, almost every time, they had a story of somebody in the camp that did something really kind or was really a good person or went out of the way to help them. Always the story. And that's what you're doing right now with this, as a good cop. It's just a good person with integrity trying to do the right thing with an evil job and an evil situation. But it doesn't change the fact that it's an evil situation, and having government goons lord over you is one of the biggest snags in the way of our freedom. And a lot of people talk about ending the Fed. Sure, fine. I mean, that's another longer conversation, and that would be great. But the cops enforcing whatever they're told to do by their overlords, the overlords of you and I, and enforcing this enslavement system, that is a massive, massive problem. And that was the point we're making. We're not looking at this. I don't care that there's a cop in Kansas City who's walking around the neighborhood and is really nice to everybody. It doesn't matter. He's just a nice overseer in a slave plantation. That's all. That's all. And just think about it. Think about the World War COVID, WWC in 2020. Think about the losers in Washington, D.C., the dysgenic scumbags. You think that they could get away with any of this if it wasn't for their armed goons? How would they do it? I mean, imagine if Nancy Pelosi showed up on your yard and was like, you need to wear a mask and get back in your house, or you need to close your business down. You'd be like, you better get off my yard or I'm going to take that martini and shove it up your ass. You know what I mean? Like, what? Like, it would never work. And, what's the solution? Well, I think first and foremost, any good cops out there, It's just like, again, I'll go to the PBS job. That was a government job. And there was like a bunch of us that were just come out of college, and we were all hungry and, creative. And we're like, we're going to make this work. We have all this great equipment. We can do this. We can still do good work. And the older guys would always just like, yeah, okay, right. And you would do your little thing. And then once you got brought up into the main programming, the bigger budget programming, you immediately saw that it was impossible, because it was like government funding, and they would fund these shows, and they would give you a set amount of money. And if you didn't spend the money, that you wouldn't get the money next year. So the whole scam was just to make something, pretend like it's good, and just spend all the money. There was no incentive. It was no competition. It was just about getting the money and convincing the state to give you the money every year. And there was a lot of really great people there, and I really enjoyed working there. There's a lot of really creative people there. But so at some point you had to make a decision. Am I going to go and be a creative talent, or am I going to just get a job here and have security and get my pension from Satan when I'm an old man? I could sit on my ass. And, I obviously made the decision to leave, but there were people that would stay there. And then you would see people that would stay there, and there was something about like the quit that they had in their eyes. The people that decided to just be lifers there was quit in their eyes. There was like a cynicism, and like, I remember there was one guy I used to see all the time, and he'd be like, 7 more years. He almost said to me almost every time I see him, he would like, because I worked there for like a year or two, he would say, 7 more years and I got my pension, 7 more years. And it was just like, it's the same thing with the cops. At some point as a cop, if you're a good cop, you're either going to say, well, this is what it is, and I'm going to stay here. It's secure, and I've got a family, and I'm going to get my pension. Or you're going to go, this is horseshit, and you're going to quit. Or you're going to end up getting fired. Like that, there was that, I don't know if you remember that cop during the COVID that was like, he went on the internet and was like, I'm not enforcing mask mandates. I'm not enforcing lockdowns. He's like, this is unconstitutional. And he got fired the next day. He literally got fired the next day. The people that went around and, locked up gyms like Ian Smith's gym, or poured, sand into those weren't cops, but tackled dudes on the beach trying to swim and stuff like that. They didn't get fired because they enforced the system. In fact, you can go online, and that gross weirdo mayor that was there, not before the guy they have now, that lesbian woman who was married to the white Jewish lady, but she's a black lesbian woman. She's always talking about racism, but then she's married to a white Jewish lady. And Chicago's burning to the ground. The mom and pop pizza shop that's been in business for 40 years, smashed up. Tough shit. The coffee shop, the people put their life savings in. This is their dream. Smashed up. Tough shit. Well, where are the cops? Guarding the mayor's house. And in fact, that's in Barnum World. She's like, I make no excuses. No, that's their job. They're told what to do. The whole protect and serve thing. In fact, the Supreme Court ruled that the cops actually don't have a responsibility to protect you. So anyways, what's the solution? The solution is that good cops should start private security companies, and they should go to municipalities that are having problems, get online, figure out what their budget is for the police. There's lots of different ways you could organize this, but go there and try to take the police over and say, look, we'll be your private security. We'll run the city I guarantee you could do it cheaper. And the city should hire them. The municipality should hire them. And then if they don't do what they say they're going to do, if they don't protect and serve the people, if they get out of line and start beating the shit out of civilians, then you fire them. And that's going to happen anyway. That's coming. These giant police forces around the country, they're not going to last. This whole thing, people think it can go on forever and they're going to bring in the digital currency. I don't think so. I think you get to 2030, 2032, this thing's going to break up. And that situation is going to happen anyway. So I would just suggest, if you know what you're doing, maybe you're an ex-military guy who has integrity or something, got your friends, your boys, whatever. Maybe you go there, take over and say you want to manage the security, and you have a system where you bring on volunteers and say, hey, you get free training. I don't know. You can figure it out. But you get my point. That's the move. That's the move, because right now, not only have we outsourced our security to these goons that aren't protecting us, but they've also monopolized the ability for us to protect ourselves now. And you can see that with the Rittenhouse and that kid in New York that choked out that homeless guy that tried to kidnap a kid and was running around threatening to kill people. It's like, It's insanity. It's all insanity. You know what I'm talking about. But again, I'll just conclude with the fact that if you're writing me, telling me that there's good cops, you missed the point. Okay, you missed the point. You're just like that person that says, well, government's not bad. There's a lot of good people in there. You know, there's a lot of good people, and this guy's going to be good. You missed the point. The system itself is an enslavement system, and the enslavement system needs goons to come and kill you or beat the shit out of you or arrest you and throw you in a cage if you don't follow the rules of the system. That's not there to support you. The system is there to extort you and control you. That's it. So that was the first complaint. The second complaint, again, most of the reaction to Barnum was overwhelmingly supportive. I know it sounds corny, but I am humbled by it. It motivates me. It keeps me going. But I just want to address these two issues, not just, I think just because I think it's important to address these issues and just kind of explain what we were doing and why you're missing the boat and why it's important to catch the boat. And the second one was the Jews. Oh man, the Jews, you didn't bring up the Jews. The Jews, you didn't bring up the Jews. So why didn't you go after the Jews? Okay. First of all, did you watch the film? Did you actually watch the film? Okay, because if you watch the film and you know how to watch a film and you're not a complete idiot, there's not a group that wasn't lampooned in that film. Nobody wasn't lampooned. Nobody wasn't targeted in that film. So I suggest if you are concerned about the Jews, you should watch it again very carefully. Okay. Hold on a second. Let me get some water. Yeah, we lampooned everybody. And the Jew thing, I think some of the emails I got were like really angry. Like just, one guy was like, yeah, nice Kabbalah bracelet at 45 minutes and 17 seconds. I'm like, dude, he had the Kabbalah bracelet on the entire film, you idiot. Second of all, yeah, that's the point. The guy, Natty Jones, is this ridiculous caricature of these so-called elites. And we're making fun of their silly little clubs and occult groups and everything. And I mean, a lot of these groups are horrible and evil, and we're not making light of that, but we are lampooning these people. And a Kabbalah bracelet, I mean, Tucker Carlson wears a Kabbalah bracelet. What you make what you want of that. Sorry, I'm drinking and coughing and itching. I'll get better at this. I did get a lot of complaints with, I don't want to get ahead of myself with the Flat Earth Dave thing. I just don't want to forget this. About interrupting him, and I put literally in the show description, which a lot of people don't read, that hey, apologize for interrupting him. I do interrupt the guest a little bit sometimes. Some of the interviews I don't, but God, my nose is so itchy. It's just allergies. I'll try to get better at that. I'll get better at this as I go along. I promise. But hopefully it's been okay. I think we've done pretty good so far. The show's growing. But anyway, so let me get back to the Jew thing. So yeah, we lampooned everybody. Second thing is, I've been doing this for 20 years, okay? Grinding, grueling, independent filmmaker for 20 years. I've worked on every kind of project you can imagine. I'm a cinephile. I've watched tens of thousands of films. I watched films. I watched the director's commentary. I watched everything. Studied films. Studied tens of thousands of films. Worked probably, I thought about this yesterday. I've worked probably 40 to 50,000 hours of editing, which is crazy. Don't tell me how to make my film. By the way, you're welcome to hate my work. In fact, I love my haters. And well, if the film was 95% haters and 5% people liked it, that would be kind of a bummer. But most of the stuff has been 95% love and 5% really motivated haters, which I think is great. I think it's great. We're pulling emotions out of people. We're triggering people. And there could be some of those people, they'll go back and they'll watch it again, or maybe 6 months from now, they'll see some more things and they'll go back and revisit it and go, oh, maybe it'll open their minds. Maybe we can crack some husks. And so I love the fact that the worst thing that you can have is that people don't care. They're bored. They have no reaction to it. That's the worst thing you can have. That's even worse than everybody hating your stuff, frankly. So yeah, I'm not saying that people can't hate my films. I'm just trying to address this issue because the kind of films that I like, I'm a professional, okay? The kind of films that I like are complex, layered, subtle, sublime, In my films, if you watch closely, there are Where's Waldos all over the place. That's why they're probably the kind of films you want to watch 2 or 3 times. And in fact, I've gotten a lot of commentary about that on Jones Plantation. People catch stuff they didn't catch. They come back, oh, I didn't see that. And the way I see Jones Plantation and Barnum World, the way they're related is it's a diptych for me. A diptych is like it's 2 films that have nothing in common but are connected conceptually. So, well, a perfect example of that is Martin Scorsese did a triptych, which is 3 films, a mafia triptych, he called it. And that was Mean Streets, which is basically like the street level loser kind of gangster film, which is a great film if you haven't seen it. Then Goodfellas, which was like the guys running the streets, and then Casino, which was like they reached their apex. The guys like internationally wealthy. And this is a diptych. It's Jones Plantation is really a film about the organization and infrastructure of the system that enslaves us. And Barnum World is about the tools and tricks that they use to keep the grand Wurlitzer going, to keep the system going and growing. We have a growing problem with our system. Yeah, so I don't. The Jews, like, I'm not going to make one of your dumbass. The Jews control the media. Like this on the nose horse shit that you're going to see on BitChute. I'm not saying there aren't great documentaries that do that, and I'm not saying any of that. I'm sure there's a lot of good stuff. I go to BitChute, but I'm saying if you want to do that, go make it. Don't come yelling at me. I'm not going to make that kind of film. I'm trying to break into the mainstream and really change culture. Will I succeed? Maybe, maybe not. Probably not. I'll probably fail. I don't know. I've been doing this again for 20 years. Okay. I'm a professional. I'm an artist. Okay. I don't need your advice on what I want to do and how I'm going to do it. If you want to go make an on the nose film and blame the Jews for everything, have at it. Have a ball. I'm not doing that. Because furthermore, if you think the problem is just the Jews, like, don't get me wrong. Jewish power is a huge problem. Jewish subversion, organized, funded subversion is a huge problem. And, at some point I actually might make a video about this. It's not going to go on YouTube, but I need to think about it. I need to investigate it. And it's funny because I've already started really kind of thinking about it, and stuff has been dropping on my lap on the internet. And I need to know the subject, and I'm going to tell the truth as I see it. And I'm not there yet. I'm not ready to really do something like that. But even if I wouldn't do that in a fiction film, it would be much more subtle and wise. And, if you're going to throw hand grenades at the regime, which is what I'm doing, the regime is like a big evil baby, and it just runs around and just destroys everything in its path. You want to throw the hand grenades behind a wall. You know what I mean? You want to toss hand grenades at it and hit it, give it hits. Just run around and scream, "Hey, regime!" Have it turn around and throw a grenade at it. It's just going to run you over and eat you. Okay? That's stupid. Or he's just going to smack you out of the way, and you're going to be off on the depths of Odyssey with, 38 views. But hey, if you think you can make a film like that, go ahead. But if you think the problem is just the Jews, I interviewed James Corbett. That's episode 8. And he made a comment. He said, if I could press a button tomorrow and have a voluntary society, I wouldn't do it because, and like I've said many times, I think I said it just a few minutes ago in this video, if I'm not mistaken, this is an evolution of consciousness that we need. Okay. And if you eliminated the Jews tomorrow, which I'm not advocating for, I'm just saying if it happened, you're still going to have the same problems you have now because you still have that same childish, no offense, but kind of low rent, mid-wit understanding of the world around you. The problems that we have are much bigger than just the Jews. Okay. If we want to have a society where we have order and hierarchies come from the bottom up, where we choose our hierarchies and not have a giant boot smashed down on our neck and the hierarchies enforced upon us, we have to grow up. And if we grew up and we had that kind of level of consciousness and that kind of mentality, then there's nothing that they could do, that anybody like that could do. And in fact, you'd find that, in my opinion, you'd only need 10, 15% of the people to be like this, and then everybody else would follow along, in my opinion. Whether that's going to happen or not, I don't know, man. I hope so. I mean, my buddy Larkin thinks so. I'm more black-pilled about it, but I'm going to keep doing what I can do and keep trying to get my work out there, and we'll see what happens. But, yeah, if you think that, in fact, people will post stuff like, I'll post something on Twitter and then they'll come back with like, end the Jews, eliminate the Jews or something. And I always post, how do you expect to do that? What's the plan? And never a response. Never. It's the same sort of mentality, again, that's indicative of this enslaved brain mindset with like, end the Fed, end the Fed. Okay, yeah, I get it, end the Fed. I could live through ending the Fed tomorrow. But do you have any idea the kind of pandemonium that's going to happen when we end the Fed, and what a disaster it's going to be if we end the Fed with the state of humanity right now? We are really wrapped up into this system. They pull the rug out. What do you think is suddenly just going to be this freedom machine economy? Maybe. I highly doubt it. I think what you're going to find is that the city of London, if you don't know what the city of London is, I'd look it up. They're going to move in on whatever control they have now. They're going to have way more. There's whoever it's going to be. You're going to find a replacement that could be way worse than the Fed is now. Again, I'm for ending the Fed. I think ending the Fed is one of those situations where, as a real Archimedes lever, it's expecting a single varied solution like the Jews to solve a multivariate problem. That's midwittery. That's stupidity. But ending the Fed would be a massive Archimedes lever for society. I mean, we could go into it. I'm not going to go off on the Fed here, but just, single moms, inflation, all that stuff. But, man, we really have to be in a better place in our consciousness, spiritually, before you pull the rug off the Fed, because otherwise everybody's just going to be screaming for help from the Fed, or the next thing that's going to replace the Fed. Everybody will be. You're talking about massive, massive economic suffering. I think, hey, maybe I'm wrong, but I think I'm right. But this is the same kind of mentality. It's just simpleton, angry projection. Again, I understand that Jewish power is a major problem, and this country is occupied by Israel. There's no question about it. It's a classic tale of the tail wagging the dog, for sure. But I'm not interested in making dullard, low rent films that are on the nose like that. Again, maybe I failed, maybe you hate my work, but that's not my aspiration. What did I mention that the merch site is up? Oh yeah, I mentioned that already. Okay. All right. Second subject is this crazy what time are we at? Where are we at with time? Oh, okay. Is this crazy Flat Earth Dave interview? I did. I met Flat Earth Dave at Acapulco, the conference in Acapulco. He's a nice guy, dude. He's a good dude, all right? I had him on. Man, I have never had so much It's literally like I said, the films, Jones Plantation, Barnum World, like 95-5 positive. This was like 50-50 hate. And I know, like I said before, this is indicative of a mindset. And I'm going after the round earthers here, and then I'm going to talk to the flat earthers. And then I have an idea, by the way. So stick around, because maybe you'll be a guest on the show if you fit the bill. If you're already still here, you're probably going to make it to the end anyway. But I know that this round earth thing, whether the earth is round or not, I don't know. I'm on the case. Okay, now I'm interested. But I know that the round earth thing is filled with ideological problems, because I had so many people. I had people writing me saying I should be ashamed of myself for talking to Dave. I should be ashamed of myself because I had a guy on the show and I interviewed him and asked him questions. Or people in the comments saying, no, not him. Or, oh, you're an idiot too. You're a flat earther. And I know that it's an ideology, because if you watch the interview, literally 30 seconds or whatever into the interview, I say to the guy, I say, hey, welcome to the show. I say, I'm a round earther at this point, but I'm open-minded. I literally say that in the beginning of the show. But you have all these people, the minute they see the flat earth, they lose their minds. They can't even address it. They can't even question it. It's an ideology. And yeah, it is. And here's the thing. And then the emails I got, people send me pages of emails about, why it's round and all the arguments. First of all, if you're going to send me an email, don't send your first email and make a 3-4 page email. I'm not going to read that. Who would? And that's just a general rule. If you want to contact somebody, and I've made this mistake too, keep it really short in the beginning until they're interested, because nobody's going to read your 3-page. And second of all, when I figure out what the shape of the earth is or the construction of the universe is, whatever theory that I'm going to come up with, it's going to be on my own, through my own investigation. And all the arguments that I got, I know from what little I know about the flat earth argument is that they're basic bitch arguments about the round earth. You've done nothing new. Okay. And I know that 99% of the people that got mad about me interviewing Flat Earth Dave was a knee-jerk reaction to it because it touches their little believies. It touches their nerve. It touches somebody put that between your ears when you were a kid. And you know, as well as I do, if you're being honest, which you're probably not going to be on this subject, that you don't have a clue whether or not the earth is round or flat or whatever it is. You really don't know. Somebody told you that when you were young. And by the way, if you do know and you're sure that you know, more on this in a second, why are you being an asshole about it? Why are you insulting these people? And I know the argument, because they're going to kookify us. They're going to kookify us. The flat earthers are kookifying. Give me a break. You're not getting angry because you're worried about being kookified. Let me tell you something. If you're against the regime, if you're most of these people are the so-called freedom people. If you're pro-freedom and pro-human and anti-voting and regime, you're already going to be kookified. Okay, the last thing you need to worry about are the flat earthers. We got way bigger problems than the flat earthers, okay? The flat earthers are on your side, whether you know it or not. These are people that are on the freedom side. Okay, they just have a different opinion about the construction of the universe. But you can't hear anything else because this is your red-blue narrative. The flat earth, round earth is the same thing. It's indicative of the same thing, the red-blue voting narrative. This is your red-blue narrative. Yeah, oh yeah. I don't care if this pisses you off. It's true. To write me and yell at me and tell me I should be ashamed of myself. I got all kinds of emails and messages, really rude, nasty, saying that Dave is this shill scumbag. Dude, the man is sincere in what he believes. Okay, he's sincere in what, and then he did not look very good in this. I watched some of that debate with him and the so-called Professor Dave guy. It wasn't his best moment. It was 5 years ago. I think he was a little naive. That Professor Dave guy is a shit-lib dirtbag who aspires bad attentions on all of the people that he debates, and then once they come on his show, and then he goes after them afterwards. Look into that guy. He's a real piece of work. Okay, Professor Wikipedia, Professor Official Narrative Dave. Okay, he's a smart guy. I mean, he's not dumb. He's just an asshole. And so I wouldn't worry too much about him. But, like I said, you might be right. I don't know yet. But I am open-minded. I want to hear all arguments. And I am not worried about people we're not going to get a free society because of the flat earthers and being kookified. I mean, give me a break. You're worried about them kookifying you? They literally just laundered up a gigantic pedophile operation. And you're worried about the flat earthers. You think they're the ones that are going to keep you out of from being free. Okay. So dumb. It's so dumb. It's not true. It's an ideology for you. It's your red-blue narrative. You can't listen to anything else. And if you really knew and you really could make an argument for round earth and you really knew what you were talking about, I don't think you'd get angry. I don't think you'd get angry. I don't. I think you'd be open-minded and willing to talk to people that are for probably 90% of the stuff on your side. But there's one little thing. And here's the thing. We know, and you know, that the people running this enslavement system that we all live under, the regime, they lie about everything, 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 Everything. Every narrative. Civil War, World War I, World War II, COVID 4 years ago. They lie about everything. And you're going to tell me this one thing, not a big deal, just the construction of the universe is, they're telling the truth and they've got it all worked out. Okay, sure. Will you listen to yourself? Look, again, you might be right. Maybe they've got it all worked out. Maybe it's perfectly worked out. But that doesn't take away from the fact that you don't really know that. And even if you did, you shouldn't be an asshole about it, because that doesn't help anybody. Because if you know for sure that the construction of the universe is exactly as they tell us, and that, I mean, how would they know that? What, from that horseshit moon landing? I mean, that ridiculous moon landing thing from the 60s that they lost the technology. By the way, go look at the ridiculous, you think the U.S. moon landing was fake that Stanley Kubrick probably made? Go look at the one the Russians put out in the 60s. It is even stupider. And by the way, I just put a tweet up a few days ago. The Indian moon landing, have you seen this? This happened like 2 years ago or last year. It is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. It's hilarious. Looked up the Indian moon landing if you want to have a laugh. So they're lying about all that. They lied about to get us into Vietnam. They lied. I mean, you can literally see them lying. They have videos of them contradicting themselves with this COVID ridiculousness. But no, the construction of the universe, yeah, they got that worked out perfectly. And everything they told you is true. And there's no reason to ever question any of it. And anybody that does, you should get really angry at them. And then any podcaster that brings somebody on that doesn't know anything about the subject, like me, I'm a virgin to the subject. I should feel ashamed of myself. I'm an asshole because I brought a guy on and had a conversation with him who I know, by the way, is sincere in his beliefs. Okay. Just hang on though. I have a thought. So to the flat earthers, this is my suggestion to you. And again, this is probably going to annoy some people, but this is just, I think sometimes people that aren't in the thing that can look outside it objectively have actually maybe some pretty insightful opinions about these types of subjects. And that's where I'm at with this. My thought is what you guys need to do is stop trying to prove that the earth is flat. Stop trying to prove the earth is flat. You can think the earth is flat. You can make videos and write books or whatever and have theories about the earth being flat. But your job is not to prove the earth is flat. Your only job is to disprove the current default model. Your only job is to disprove the globe earth. That's it. That's all you got to do. Disprove the globe earth. And my amateur hour thinking on this, and I understand I'm amateur hour thinking on this, but I've been doing this living thing for a while, and I have a lot of wisdom. I have a lot of experience, and I'm not a guy. I'm going to be the general on the ship. I'm not going to be the engineer. Both are equally as important, and both have their own challenges. But I'm a patterns person, pattern recognition, archetypes, and my thought is that it's probably round, but it's not the round the way they're saying it. And it's funny because I have a Twitter friend that we communicate a lot on Twitter, and he's a surveyor. And just out of the blue, I was like, what is it, flat or round? What do you think? And he said, because I saw a debate between that flat earth or Professor Dave asshole and some other guy that did a pretty good job. And I watched most of the debate. It's like 4 hours. I got through an hour and a half of it. But at one point, the flat earth guy brought up surveyors. And so I was like, ask the surveyor. And he said he thinks it's oblong. Thinks it's round, but some sort of oblong. And he said the numbers don't lie. I don't know exactly what that means, but that's something I'm kicking around, that it's probably somewhere in between. But again, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But that's what I think, just based on these types of things and the types of lies we're told and the types of results that come. I know they're lying to us on some level about the construction of the universe and the construction of this planet. But where was I going with that? Oh, the flat earth. So all you have to do is prove the earth, that the model they have is wrong. Now you're going to say, well, when we prove it, it's flat. Well, just leave that alone, because they're going to call you pizza planet and all this stuff. You can believe in that and do whatever you want. I'm just saying that if you can disprove the current model, it's such a simpler task maybe That's all you got to do. To me, my personal opinion is the distance curvature model. You know, if, in order for the Earth to be the size and the sphere that it is, it has to curve at a certain point at a certain distance. I don't remember what it is, but there's calculators for that. There's websites for that. You can type it in, but that seems to me to be a good target point. If it in fact is not what they say it is, it's not around like they said it is. So I'm going to have on who I want on my show. I'm open-minded. I don't know. Like I said, I'm more of a patterns. I have a lot of wisdom. I'm not an engineer. But when I need to learn details, I will dig down and learn the details. And if I come to a conclusion about what the Earth is, I will be able to beat you in an argument. Or otherwise, I won't be arguing over it. Okay? But here's my thought. I don't know a lot about this. I want to ask anybody out there who's listening who is a round earther and you actually know what you're talking about and you're not an asshole. You want to have a real conversation and you know what you're talking about. Make sure you know what you're talking about. I don't want to bring on somebody that makes an ass out of yourself or don't waste my time. Like, I need to know you know what you're talking about. Contact me. Okay? Flat Earth Dave is standing by and he wants to have a fruitful, intelligent conversation / debate. You don't have to have a big audience. You don't have to have credentials. If you do, great. Maybe you do have credentials. If you don't, but if you know what you're talking about, send me a short email explaining why you know. Maybe give me 2 or 3 bullet points. Maybe even send me like a 30-second to 1-minute video. Keep it short, explaining to me why you think you should be the person to do this debate conversation. Because again, I could see if you're, you know, what's your whether or not you just send me a video. I'll be able to cast you. Oh, by the way, the kook thing, back to that. Let me finish this. Sorry, I go all over the place. Sorry, I'm a little bit scatterbrained. Email me at, I guess you can email the Jones Plantation site, or you could email me at info@drewmedia.studio. info@drewmedia.studio. That's info@drewmedia.studio. If you want to send me a little video, if you don't, see that you're camera friendly, you're comfortable in the camera, because sometimes people, even if I don't want you to be really good and know what you're talking about, and then you clam up and then you're like, oh man, I screwed it up. But if you know what you're talking about and you have an open mind and you're intelligent, thoughtful, send me something. And I want to bring you on, and we'll bring Flat Earth Dave on, and we'll have a conversation. Now, I have a theory that I'll be a really good moderator, because I don't know much about the subject, but I do know snags, and I'm going to hold these people's feet to the fire. I'm going to have a little bit of an infrastructure for the debate, and then I'm going to hold people's feet to the fire. There's not going to be a lot of any insulting or yelling, and nobody's going to get away with skirting or squirming out of questions. That's what I see a lot in these round earth, flat earth debates. And it's annoying. Like, I want to know the answer. Like, hey, answer that. No, I might suck at it as a moderator. I don't know. I have a theory. Maybe I suck at it. Who cares? I don't know. We'll give it a go. They're like, well, Andrew, we've already seen a million of these debates. Okay, well, I haven't moderated them. And I don't have a dog in this fight. I want to hear 2 intelligent people talk about this subject and see if we can. Because I think that if you're on Team Freedom, Team Pro-Human, we should work together to figure this thing out as best we can, if we even can. So contact me. So before I go, I just wanted the kook thing. The kook. Oh, they're going to kookify that horseshit excuse you made for being an asshole to a flat earther. Let me tell you something. This thing is filled with kooks. Okay, kooks everywhere, and I love my kooks. I'm a kook, kinda. But I mean, you should see some of the emails I get. Oh my God, like, people sending me these emails with like run-on sentences and like caps. I tried to help Trump. I tried to show Trump, but he didn't listen. Capitals, 7 exclamation points. They use my YouTube channel to promote their campaign and turn their back on me. And then I go to the YouTube channel, there's like 23 followers. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah. I'm sure Trump and his team are climbing over themselves to have you make videos for them. But anyways, there's kooks everywhere, okay? And think about who the biggest kooks are are the kooks in government. Those people are the ultimate kooks. Okay, stop trying to be a libertarian and hang out at the cocktail party. It's not going to happen. Pretend like you're an edgy edgelord, but you actually want to be a part of the system and accepted. Okay? If you are truly pro-human and truly anti-state and truly pro-human evolution and freedom, then you're going to get kookified. Who cares? Who cares? You're not a kook, so what? But let's figure this thing out. So I think I covered everything. I'm going to try to do this show on Tuesdays. I've been releasing it on Thursdays, but I'm going to try to start releasing it on Tuesdays. I don't know. What do you guys think? And I'll have guests next week. I try to do it once a week. And usually I do, but sometimes maybe the episode didn't. Maybe I want to repost the episode because we're growing the channel and growing the show. And sometimes I feel like that's a really good episode, but not enough people saw it. So I wanted to like marinate for a little bit. Or sometimes it's just a matter of like I don't have time to do the show. Or time to put the show together, but I try to do it weekly and I try to be consistent. And the more we grow and the bigger we get, the more consistent I'll be, and the more I have other ideas for shows and projects and stuff like that. So I guess that's it. Thanks for tuning in. I hope I love you guys, and I really appreciate the support for Barnum World and Jones Plantation. And I hope I didn't irritate too many people, but this is how I feel about the whole thing. And until we meet again, bye. Okay, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the show. You can follow me on Twitter if you want at Tregsman with 2 G's and an S, or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel at Drew Media TV. We also have a Rumble channel, Drew Media, if you prefer there. I know a lot of people don't like YouTube. Also, if you're listening to the podcast, like on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever, if it's not too much of a pain and you like the show, give it 5 stars so we can get some help from the algorithm. Otherwise, all the other links to our social media will be in the show notes, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.